Hi, it's Lori Water, Director of Family Relations at All Points North Lodge, coming to you from New Jersey once again. And I have a really exciting guest with us today. When I started in this industry, I actually started at Next Chapter, which was a all-male program in Florida. And Abe Antiem was the clinical director of that program. He is still the clinical director of All Points North Lodge. And Jessica Baum was somebody that I had worked with while we were at Next Chapter. She also continued to work with us when we moved out to Colorado and became All Points North Lodge. So, hi, Jessica.
Hi.
I'm so I'm so happy to see you today.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, hanging in there. Interesting world, but we're hanging in there.
I know I was actually following some of your posts earlier today. And yeah, I'm right there with you. Something needs to change, but yeah. So, but I'm wearing my mask. I
Thank you.
hate it, but I'm wearing it.
I hate it too, but it just seems like a little inconvenience in the whole grand scheme of things.
It sure is. So I'm so happy to have you with me today. I was just saying how we met at Next Chapter, and it was so really so wonderful to be part of a really clinically sophisticated team where collaboration was so easy. And it was really special. And that was how I was introduced to this whole arena. And I know that you were working with us doing family work at Next Chapter. You continued to do family work with us at All Points North Lodge. And I know that your world is exploding. And I think, your professional world and your personal world are they're so exciting. So the fact that I can have you with me for a little bit today uh, is really exciting. So do you, so I would love to talk, there's so many things I'd love to talk about. And I do want to talk about your book
Okay.
because, yeah, if you can just share a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I started a manuscript, as you know, because you are a personal friend, a little while ago, and the book has like kind of become something for someone who has anxious attachment style. So but a lot of people fit in that bracket in terms of anyone who has low self-esteem, trouble staying in connection, needing a lot of connection, struggles with anxiety in their relationships. And what it does is it kind of takes you, it shares into you about attachment styles, but it also looks at your past relationships and current relationships and uses it as a way to kind of use a flashlight on where your core wounds are and where your work is. So even though the relationship might have been defined one way or another, we revisit and we kind of get what's underneath it, what the unconscious is underneath it. And the middle of the book is a lot of somatic work, working around your core fears and your core wounds, and really learning how to attach to yourself in a healthy way and not abandon yourself for love, and form this inner attachment. And then and then the last part of the book is how do you apply that in your current world? So how do you take this new knowledge, learn about your internal landscape a little more, make these internal connections, and show up in a healthy in all your relationships, and redefine what romantic relationships might mean for you, or what your expectations are, and how to self-soothe and take care of yourself, ask for your needs, know what is maybe a primal little girl need that you need to tend to yourself, or a relationship responsibility and need that needs to be met in the relationship. So it's a really fun book. It's young, it's hip. It talks about codependency and love addiction, but I talk about, love bombing and ghosting and basically everything that a modern woman faces, not just being in our modern world, but with everything that we've taken on and are, generationally, as well as what's imprinted on us as a woman and how we should show up. And I kind of challenge all of that and really direct the person back into inner bonding, essentially, to bond with what I little me. So it's amazing, and it brings me a lot of joy working on it. You know, I work really hard, and I know when I work on the book, because I'm in the process of rewriting it right now, I just get energy and I just get joy, and it's like fun, and it's like it's such a nice project for me to have, and I feel really good about it, and it landed in the perfect spot with the perfect publishers and editor, and I'm just really happy that I
Right.
followed the path, you know.
Yeah, and and it does, well, even as you describe the book, it seems to reflect your private practice and even ways in which you live your life. So, I know that you talk about codependency being a dysfunctional relationship with yourself. And, a lot of the work that I've seen you do when I've seen you work with families, it's so much about looking inward and coming to terms with, your past experiences
Mhm.
and how they show up for you in your life today and how you can make adjustments to that to live a more comfortable, satisfying life and to have more productive and comfortable relationships. I mean, do you see that as like the book somewhat like being born from the way in which you practice clinically?
Absolutely. And it's a combination of, I think, unlike other clinical books, I'm very vulnerable in the book. So I share a little bit about my personal journey. I share a lot about myself in it. And I, really am that way as a clinician too. Not that I share inappropriately, but I'm really transparent and authentically myself. So I stay in the therapist role, but I share experiences when necessary so that my clients know that I'm human and I've experienced a lot of the same things, and I do that in my book. And it's a collection of PM Melody and Harville Hendricks, so like a mob, like different type of therapy that I have learned and practiced, and what I've seen over the years and what I've seen work. And it's sending the same message, or some of the same messages that I've been sending all along, just to a broader audience. And then probably I'll be able to impact more people. So that was the intention behind the book, but it's a combo of my life experiences, my training, what I'm seeing, and my essence in the book.
Right, which I think just seeps through your pores because I think you are very transparent and you're so easy to talk to. And I know that we've joked about other things, but how you've even in our personal conversations, just reminding me not to absorb other people's anxiety. And, like there's just these little messages that come through that I take to heart and I incorporate into who I am. And yeah, I love that about you. I mean, I feel like transparency is such a gift in our world. And, being honest and truthful with other people and with yourself. So I've seen the growth and change in you. You look so happy.
I am happy.
Yeah. And,
It's
and
I'm in
that's
a relationship now that I'm happy too, and I write about that. But I think it's important to know that, like, even if you've come through a hard time, it's still going to show up in your world. You're just, as you do the work, you're just going to have like new insight and awareness around it. I talk about like Instagram and Disney and all these Twilight and all these things that we see what our relationship should look like. And I'm like that, but that's not reality. And most people, they stay stuck in this concept of what love should look like. And I'm like, love is hard, and that's okay. And as long as you have awareness, it's about becoming conscious around what is coming up in your relationship.
right. And being able to talk through that and work through that because, yeah, I mean, that is our truth.
Hmm.
And it's not going to go away.
Right.
It's part of what keeps us growing, which
Yeah.
is,
It will show up in every relationship one way or another. Your stuff will always pop up.
and it does. It does. And I think it's so, I actually, there's a part of it that I think it's fun to even to see it and acknowledge it. Just in it, I felt like I lived this world where we just didn't really talk about that, like maybe acknowledge it, but just move on. And I feel like now actually being able to acknowledge it and work through it, and just accept what is, uh, yeah, is just a more peaceful way to live, you know. But I also love your, and I believe you patented self-full?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I have. And that did get born from I worked a lot with codependency, as you know. People coming into my office, and I was trying to teach healthy self-care, and I kept saying, you got to be more selfish. And selfish isn't the right word. I don't want people to lose their empathy. I don't want people to be manipulative. I don't want people to be self-centered. So I came up with the word self-full because I want people to fill themselves up first and then give from there. But it's a lot more complicated in that, in terms of internal boundaries and understanding your internal boundary system and working with your little me parts and your higher conscious parts to take care of yourself in a or a more full way, a way of giving and not running on complete depletion or in survival mode. But when you look at codependency, and so the selfless person, or the person that self abandons, sometimes they become an addict, but sometimes they attract people who are more selfish. And it's not that anyone is wrong, it's that we attract the missing parts of ourselves. So it's about moving more into a more full state and showing up more for yourself, and perhaps showing up differently with that person, or attracting someone who is in a more full state themselves. So someone that's not always looking to receive and doesn't always put themselves first, but there should be like an exchange, and you can't get there and shift your mindset and you start to learn, move past the fear and the guilt of caregiving and what it means to be in a relationship, and learn to have a healthier relationship with yourself. And then that will transpire in all your relationships. And especially, I feel like your romantic relationships are the ones that like trip us up the most, the most dopamine and hormones and all the perfect cocktail comes into those relationships, and they're the easiest to get lost in. And so I had to come up with this term, and really some theory around helping women. I made the book for women, but men suffer from this too. And it was just so that I could talk about specific topics that relate just to women, but helping people move and move away from that codependency and more into a healthier place, and let go of guilt or shame or whatever feelings come up when we really do honestly take care of ourselves, honor our needs first, speak our mind, step into our power. So that's kind of how the word got it. I had clients come to me. I mean, I had some really smart clients. One went to Harvard. You need to trademark that word. And then client, actually it was a client from Next Chapter that I continued to work. She was like, I was self-full this weekend. I shut the door. I got a babysitter. I read in the bathtub. And I'm like, and I kept hearing it over. It was like the universe was like telling me. Other people were like, that's so great, I'm starting to use it. And someone else told me to trademark it. And I was like, I didn't patent it. So I was like, all right, I'm getting the feedback that I need. There's something here. There's something with using this word, and a lot more to it, but using this word that is getting through to people in a healthier way.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I'm glad that you've trademarked it, because it is pretty unique. And I think it's well, I like that it's self-full rather than selfish. And a lot of times when we're doing our own work, you're reminded to be selfish, but really self-full feels so much kinder to ourselves. It's hard to be selfish.
Well, selfish is a negative. I mean, and it really is a negative. I'm not asking my clients to be selfish. I'm asking them to check in, fill for themselves, take care of themselves, and still give. But selfish people, and that's just a developmental coping mechanism. That's how they learn to survive in the world. But they only particularly think about themselves. And sometimes there's a manipulative quality to it. There's an egocentricness to it. So they stay in themselves all the time. Selfish people leave their energy all the time. They self-abandon themselves. So the truth is, you want to stay in yourself, take care of yourself, and still be kind and compassionate when it's coming from the right place. A lot of codependents, they give from the wrong place. It's fear or insecurity, or they need to feel validation by giving, and it ends up building resentment down the road, and they're not really taking care of themselves, essentially, and forming the relationship they deserve.
Right. So I don't know whether we mentioned that you do have a private practice in Palm Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And And I know that Florida is exploding right now with COVID. Um, and I am confident that you are taking care of yourself.
I
But
am. I'm home right now. I am going into my office today with a mask on. It's been hard because I treat a lot of couples too. So if a couple's really struggling, I'll put a mask on and social distance. My office is pretty big. But all the clients that can see me from home and do this, it's been beautiful. It's been awesome. And it's actually like a space I wanted to move more into because I feel like we're moving into that world. But I also think that sometimes more experiential work, it's hard to get around it. So I've been putting my mask on and being really mindful and checking in with people who are wanting it. And so it's been like 4 or 5 sessions here or there that I have been going in and just trying to be careful. And
right,
yeah, it's a really challenging because we're such a mixed state. And some of my clients don't take it as seriously, but it's my job to be responsible always, and kind of take those steps.
right. And well, two things that I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure that people know how they can contact you
Hmm.
if you want to share that information. And I also want to know if there's a title of the book that we're excited to see come out, or if you're not ready to share that.
No, I can share that. It's Anxiously Attached: Ending Love Addiction by Becoming Selfful is the working title, and it's due to hit print in the winter of 2021 or January 2022. So I'm in the process of rewriting some of the chapters, and then I'll pass it off to Penguin, which I'm so happy about. And I love the editor, and she's edited some books that I just love. So then they'll have about a year with it. So they'll re-edit it with me and come up with like a book launch plan. So I'm looking at the winter of 2021. It's a long process, but
Yeah.
I was like, I'm ready. And now I'm like, oh, I need to like cultivate this. Everything is in the right timing. And so now I'm really like relaxed in the process, and I have very much a plan. So it's a really great place to be. I was a little dark for a while, I think, not knowing where this was going to land and just trying to follow my heart.
Yeah.
The book talks a lot about connecting your cognitive world, your old brain, to your body. And I kind of pinpoint the heart at the heart center and tapping down into your heart center as a way of connecting to the present and the here and now and clearing space so that you can become more self-full and have more of an energetic experience. And as you know, when we work with trauma, that experience in itself is different for every single individual. So I'm kind of trying to guide people, but also be cautious and give them some agency around where they take it, what to expect, because everyone's going to have a different experience when they go inward. It's not always easy at first. It's actually quite scary and hard for a lot of people, depending on how much they've done it and how much trauma is stored in their body and how disconnected they've had to be in order to survive.
Right. Yeah. And oftentimes people do need a lot of support around that.
I kind of have like a grounding exercise, but I also have call in extra support. I like put all these like safety there so that people know that like it can activate a lot. I mean, just deep breathing can activate anxiety. So every reader is different. So I'm trying to like navigate that a little right now, and it's been interesting.
I'm really looking forward to it. I know you said that if you got signed with Penguin, you were going to be dancing on the table.
Yeah, well, I put Penguin on my vision board, which just sounds so egotistical. And the truth is, I got to a place where I surrendered, and I was like, just let me land in the best space that it intentionally puts my book in the most readers' hands. Like that's been my intention, but there were like 7 penguins on my vision board, and then when my agent went out, Penguin, responded, but they were the best on the phone with me. It just I don't know, it felt the most aligned. So yes, I'm excited to be with them, and I know that is where I am supposed to be. So that's an awesome feeling.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
No
I,
problem.
I really do adore you. I've just gotten so much joy from watching your journey and seeing you grow and seeing you so happy.
Thank you. And I appreciate your friendship so much. I see like so much heart that you put into like, anytime I work with a family that I know you're connected with, I'm like, oh, they're going to get that extra support. They're going to get that kind, nurturing voice. And it's hard in this field because we run out of steam. And I just know you give 158%. So I'm always like, wow, I have that little angel on this team with this family that I'm so grateful for. So you're a real asset to any family that you help guide through this process.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Well, stay safe.
Thank
Wear your
you.
mask. All
Bye.
right. Take care.